Hey there, beautiful people. It's Dina bringing another daily dose. So on this journey of being a special needs mom or a mom in an extreme parenting situation, which is what I talk about mostly on this channel, sometimes it can be very lonely. I would say very isolating, very lonely, and you tend to feel like nobody really understands what you're going through. And if you did try to explain it, it would probably sound like you're complaining, or it wouldn't be believable. There's so many stories that I've heard from moms, over the years. I've done a lot of interviews with moms just to try to really, understand the heart of a mom that's dealing with a very extreme situation. And, some of them are just, it breaks my heart, the things that they have to go through that most people would never understand. And sometimes I think, maybe we're not really meant to try to explain it to everybody, but the moms that are going through it really do get it. They really do understand that. But the point that I want to try to address today is that isolation, that feeling of being alone, is something that I believe is from the enemy. I don't believe that's from God. I believe that they're in isolation and feeling alone is exactly the breeding ground for negativity. It's the breeding ground for us to not truly understand, how to walk this out. And so for me, that's the journey that I had to walk through as I went from, already raising 4 kids to now I have a special needs child. She's 14 now. So, where I'm at in my journey now is very different than where I was. But in the beginning of that, I was like, I don't even know what I'm doing. I don't know how to do this. I was in the busiest season of my life. I was 42 and God decided to bring us another baby, which, was a shock all by itself. And she had special needs and I had no idea. And all of the parenting that I had done, the youth outreach that we were running, and, again, over the 20 years we did that, over 1,000 teens, more than likely, we worked with. And I still was not prepared for what God had brought me into when I had to be Gracie's mom. Now, it wasn't Gracie that caused the problems. It wasn't that. I don't want anyone to think that anyway, in any of my story, that I'm blaming her. It was just that it was me not knowing how to navigate extra responsibilities. And if you're a mom of a special needs child, you know that it's extra everything, extra stress, extra responsibilities. It takes extra, strength to do the things that we do. And this does not negate any other parent or a typical parent that's walking through hard seasons, but when you're a special needs mom, sometimes those seasons are for a lifetime. And I know with Gracie, it is going to be a lifetime. So how do I navigate that? So in the very beginning of that, I just felt like I didn't know what I was doing, and I pretended a lot. I wore this mask to make it seem like I was okay, everything was fine, and I wasn't okay. And eventually that took its toll on me. It took its toll on my health. It took its toll on my marriage. I felt very isolated and alone, although people were all around me, and I had helpers, I had babysitters, although we went through them quite quickly because it was, she had a lot of challenges, and, most of the babysitters that we hired couldn't handle the extra challenges, especially as she grew older. She was harder and harder to handle, so childcare can be an issue, as your child grows. When they're babies, they're not much different than any other baby, unless you have a medically fragile child or child that may be on a feeding tube or something like that, where there's extra things you have to do for there. But most children, most babies, it's the same thing that you have to do with any other baby in that season of life. But as Gracie grew, the responsibilities grew and the challenges grew, and the child care and the help and the support lessened. And so I found myself in this place of just feeling like nobody truly understood what I was going through, not even my spouse, and not my mother, who is my main support and my main caregiver and help when it comes to Gracie. But when you're walking through that and it feels isolating, and each one of those people that takes her, even her siblings will take her, they're not really actually walking through the same journey that I have of being pretty much the sole caregiver of her. My husband works a lot to provide for our family, and I wouldn't even be able to do what I'm doing as a stay-at-home mom to be able to be there for Gracie if he didn't do what he did. But that doesn't mean that journey didn't feel lonely. It didn't mean that I didn't feel like I was the only one doing the things that I had to do, and the only one losing sleep, and the only one that didn't have friends, and the only one that felt misunderstood. And even family functions we would go to, and I'm the one sitting with Gracie to try to keep her calm and not disrupting the whole entire event. And so you feel isolated, alone, and just like, how am I ever going to get through this? But one of the things that God really had to radically change in my heart, because I was operating in pride. It was all about me. I was being very selfish about poor me, and that's been the biggest part of my journey. And if anybody understands that, you don't necessarily think it is pride, because most people aren't out here trying to say I'm better than anybody else. When people think of pride, they think of that. But pride can also be victim mentality. It can also be very self-focused. It can be like, poor me, nobody gets it. And that's really where I operated in. And that can be a turnoff too, like not a turnoff just to your spouse, but I'm saying in general, people don't want to be around people that are complaining or that carry this heaviness. So I had to do my best to try to put on this fake mask like I was fine, but it was not fine on the inside. And that's where I had a lot of physical problems in my body and high cortisol and, a lot of things that affected my health because I was keeping it inside. And when I didn't keep it inside, it came out in an explosion and ended up hurting the people around me because I wasn't managing my stress or my emotions or even just the journey of trying to navigate this hard season. So God really had to pull out the things in me that were not representative of him, that were not, what was part of this journey. So what I discovered is that I wasn't alone. Not only was I not alone physically with people around me that were actually helping me, there was a blind spot that I couldn't see, but also that he was there right beside me. He did not call me to this so that I had to give up my life or that I even had to forsake my time with him. He still expected me to draw close to him during this, but as a mom, you're like, I don't have time for this. I barely have time to, even get up and put some clean clothes on, and you want me to take this time to get away with you. But I found that if I didn't do that, oh my gosh, my day was so much worse. So I had to learn how to be obedient to what God was saying in the messiness of me trying to figure out how to be a special needs mom. And so it was in that, when I finally surrendered that he really showed me my true purpose in it. He showed me my identity through it. He showed me that I was not alone, that he actually has equipped me. And if he's called you to do this, he has equipped you. Now that equipping might turn into a training ground where you actually have to go through like basic training and, think of it like almost a military thing. There's a lot of skills that you've got to learn, especially on how to manage your emotions and how to take care of yourself and how to put yourself first, which is one of the most important things as a special needs mom or mom in an extreme parenting situation, is you have got to put yourself first. I know it seems selfish, but if you don't, it is being selfish because you're not giving the best version of yourself to your family. You're not able to adequately do that job and maintain your peace and your joy and your identity. You have to put yourself first. You have to put the oxygen mask on yourself first. So I had to learn that. But the biggest lesson I learned is that I was not giving God the place in my life to operate as my partner in this, as the one that called me to this, as the one that equipped me for this, as the one that was going to show me the path. I'm trying to strive and struggle to get my way through it. And he was the one that had the plan all along in the first place. That she was a true gift to us, even though she was brought into our life at the busiest season of our life, and running our outreach and already 4 kids and 42, like who wants a baby at 42? But it was truly a gift that transformed my life when I finally surrendered and let God show me that. He showed that to me through the trials. He didn't take them away. I actually walked through them. And then on the other side of it, I realized that I was transformed into the person that God had called me to be as Gracie's mom, as Doug's wife, as my other children's mom, and as who I am as the daughter of the King, as, my identity in Christ. That's what I learned along the way. It was not an easy journey, but when you put in the intentional work and you decide to just get outside of your own self and really focus on what God is asking you to do, then you will be able to actually do that with grace and ease. Now, I'm not saying that I'm perfect by any means, and I still struggle on a daily basis. And I even had a really rough morning with Gracie this morning. She got up in a mood and was already giving me challenges. And so, I found that even though I know everything I know and the transformation that I've had, I still struggle to walk through a challenging, behavior issue with her. But I just know that I have the tools and the training that will get me there. I just have to focus on that. So anyway, I know I'm kind of going long-winded, as I usually do. I just want to share this. And if anybody's out there and you're listening to this and you feel alone, you're not alone. You're not. God has brought you to this. He will equip you for this. He will transform you in this journey. You will be able to walk this out the way God has called you to do that. You will be able to see beauty in what seems like a trial. And I've said this many times, what I thought was my prison became my promised land. It became my greatest purpose. What was my biggest challenge actually became my greatest blessing. And this is why I'm able to sit here right now and record this, and be there for other moms to support them. So I just thank you. I thank you for your support. I thank you for always being there on this channel, and your comments, and I just subscribe to the family, do all the things so that you can really continue to get encouragement every day. I thank you. I love you. Not only does the creator of the universe he's madly obsessed with you, but I love you. I'm here for you. And I just want you to remember who you are and just have an awesome day. And we will see you again next time.